Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the big one for 2016. Thomas and Friends, The Great Race, the animated musical adventure film. This is the last special to be animated by Art Productions under their original name, as they renamed themselves Jam-Filled Toronto in August 2016. There was a lot of advertisement for this film, whether it be on the TV or the official YouTube channel. This movie was advertised in so many ways, like with trailers and individual videos for the contenders of the Great Railway Show. And I've got to tell you right now, ever since this special was announced, I've had emails up the wall and some messages on my Facebook and fanbook page asking me if I was going to review this one. Well, here's my review of it for all of you to see. So let's begin with... wait a minute. If I'm going to review this special, I need the proper attire. Well, I've got to root for the home team, haven't I? Anyway, on with the story. After Thomas wins a quick race against Gordon and reaches the end of the line at Vickerstown Station, he is introduced to Gordon's brother, the Flying Scotsman, played by Rufus Jones, who is taking part in the Great Railway Show on the mainland, and he encourages Thomas to try and take part as well. Though every engine on Sodor, and I literally mean every engine, wants to take part, the Fat Controller has not made up his mind yet, and Thomas fears he won't be picked to go to the competition. After getting an idea to be streamlined for the competition, he passes his idea to the Fat Controller, who believes it would be perfect for Gordon, much to Thomas's dismay. At Brendam Docks, Thomas has a run-in with several of the competitors for the Great Railway Show, when their rail ferry docks there by mistake. As a result, one of them is left behind. The engine, a beautifully painted one from India named Ashima, makes a bad first impression on Thomas, but upon getting another idea regarding her paintwork from Annie and Clarabelle, he heads to the steamworks to be repainted, but is forced to reveal his new idea to the Fat Controller, who selects James and Emily to be repainted instead. Running into Ashima again after learning she took Annie and Clarabelle down his branch line, Thomas is convinced by her to just be himself and take part in the shunting challenge at the Great Railway Show, since he's good at shunting. However, thanks to a trip by devious Diesel involving Den, Dart and Paxton, Thomas suffers an accident with Norman at Knapford Junction, and has been left behind to have his front end mended while Percy takes his place. At the end, Thomas is able to go, despite not being fully repaired, when it is discovered that Gordon left without his safety valve being properly installed while he was being streamlined, leaving his boiler vulnerable to overheating, especially at high speeds. And it's all a race against time for Thomas to save Gordon before his boiler blows up, and he gets to take part in the Great Railway Show and show everybody what he's made of. So if I could sum up this special in just one word, what would that one word be? Awesome. This feature-length special has the biggest collection of characters I've ever seen in a Thomas special. I mean, we got engines from all over the world in this one. We got engines from China, from Brazil, from America, from Australia, from Germany, from France, Ashima from India, and we even got the Flying Bloody Scotsman. First hearing about the special seemed an interesting idea, having international characters from all sorts of countries in one special. But the thing that really got me excited for it was the introduction of the Flying Scotsman. As soon as the Flying Scotsman was announced for the special, everybody was going nuts for it. They were really excited to finally see the Flying Scotsman in the TV series properly. Of course, we did get a cameo from him in Series 3 with tender engines, but it was really just seeing his two tenders since they ran out of money to finish his model in time. But this was the first time we got to see him full on, and Rufus Jones really does do a great performance as the Flying Scotsman, given that upper class charm as well as that cockiness that Gordon has.
Good luck, little brother.
And as soon as Flying Scotsman said a particular line in the special, I was sitting there thinking, he is definitely Gordon's brother.
Flying Scotsman coming through!
And Flying Scotsman looks great in this special too. I mean, it's just a really great design. It's basically taking a combination of all the previous appearances he's had before and today. Like taking his current appearance with his smoke deflectors, but giving him the LNER apple green paintwork as well as his second tender. And that really is fitting since he had his second tender in the Railway series. That was just a really fitting design for him, mixing in the old with the new. That's just really clever. And I actually got to ride on the Flying Scotsman during the summer of this year, and boy was it worth the ride. and this special shows him in all his glory.
And another great thing they did with Flying Scotsman in this special was that they gave him an actual personality. And I know that sounds insane for me to say since he was in the Railway series, but let's be honest, he didn't have enough time in that book to show off a personality and really shine, since it was really about the other engines and he was just brought in to see Gordon. But here they give him a personality. He's pretty much as cocky as Gordon is, and even teases Gordon by calling him little brother. That's actually pretty funny since I know a lot about sibling rivalries, but in the end they're still brothers and they really do care for each other. And it's especially shown when Flying Scotsman shows concern for Gordon's boiler. And we also got a kind of villain in Vinny the American engine. But he's not exactly the main villain, he's really just a basic typical show-off jerk who thinks little engines are unimportant and just doesn't like them at all.
You better watch where you're going, Shorty, or you might end up being recycled.
And there's lots of foreign characters in this special that really didn't get that much time to shine since it was really focusing on Thomas and Ashima. But it would be nice to see a lot of these characters return in the future. Even if they just had one episode to themselves, I wouldn't mind it.
So it's a shame that all the other characters in this special haven't had much time to themselves, but hey, it's all about Thomas and Ashima, right? But still, it would be nice to see a lot of them come back in the future for just cameos and other specials. It'd even be cool if a lot of them had some episodes of their own in the series.
I would just love to see these characters get bigger time on the spotlight and show off their personalities.
As for other characters in the special, I really do like Ashima because she plays a really big role in this story as a friend of Thomas.
And I thought it was really nice and fitting that they got an actual Indian actress to play her.
I'm competing in the shunting challenge, Emily. Just because we're well painted doesn't mean we can't do anything else.
And when I look at this engine, she just looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at all those colours on her, the patterns and everything. And maybe it's because I'm a sucker for colourful things because I'm quite the arty type, but she really does look beautiful. And they've made some hints in the special that Thomas might have a bit of a crush on her, which might piss off a lot of the fans who love Thomas and Rosie fanfiction. But it never really pissed me off because I just really kind of enjoyed it. And it's like the typical thing with girls, like Thomas meets the girl and sort of gets the wrong idea about her, but eventually gets to like her in the end. And that's really nice.
You are a very funny little tank engine.
And she's the one who encourages him to just be himself. And that's really the big message of this story, just be yourself. It's great that they would do this kind of message in this story without shoving it down the kids' throats like a lot of films and TV shows tend to do. But here the message is done really, really well. And it gets the message across without shoving it in your face. Now let's talk about Gordon's streamlining. People either seem to like the streamlining or dislike the streamlining. I'm one of the people that actually kinda likes it. I mean, to me it just looks a little bit similar to the Stanier stream designing on the Carnations. Like the kind of streamlining that looks good on some engines, but gets in the way of essential maintenance, like they did in real life, compared to the A4 streamlining. And the music in this special was done by new composer Chris Renshaw, and like all the other composers before him, his music really conveys the emotions of the scenes. Of course I miss Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell's music, but his music really does the story well. And remember when I said that this was a full musical movie? Well, I literally mean it. This special has a lot more songs than Sojo's Legend of the Lost Treasure did. With Will You Won't You, Streamlining, I'm Full of Surprises, You Can Only Be You, The Shooting Star Is Coming Through, Be Who You Are and Go Far, the list goes on. And You Can Only Be You is one of my favourite songs because it's sung by Ashima, and her actress just has a beautiful singing voice. And all the visuals that go on in that kind of reminds me of Never Overlook a Little Engine from Lost Treasure. I mean, like all the things that goes on in the background, the visuals, it's just really amazing and so musical-like. I also really love Diesel's song, I'm Full of Surprises, which is basically his kind of villain song. And I just love how the song starts off as being like dark and devious like the character, and then it just turns into something like happy and bouncy and all that, just showing how Diesel feels he's full of surprises. That was a really interesting take for a villain song in my opinion. And when they started advertising this movie, a lot of people were assuming that this was going to be related to the Railway Books series, Thomas and the Great Railway Show, just because it was advertised The Great Railway Show. But it wasn't at all related to The Great Railway Show from the Railway series, which some people might have been disappointed in, but I didn't really mind it. But one suggestion I do have for this special would have been to have given Rosie a bigger time in the spotlight. Of course she did get a cameo of her working, like keeping the industrial side of the island, but I think it would have been nice to have had a scene where she encourages Thomas to follow his passions of joining the Great Railway Show. I just think it would have been a nice interaction between Thomas and Rosie after all these years. But that's just a little suggestion, and the fact that it doesn't have that doesn't come close to ruining this special. And I've heard that some people kind of went up the wall a bit when they found out that there was engines from different countries in the special. But I honestly don't mind that. It's kind of teaching kids to get along with people from different cultures, which is a very good lesson to teach kids. Getting along with people from all sorts of different races and cultures. That is another really good lesson people should teach kids without shoving it in their faces.
And you may remember last Christmas when I said that Sildur's Legend of the Lost Treasure was the best Thomas special so far. Well, this one topped it on all accounts.
So for me, Thomas and Friends The Great Race is the greatest Thomas feature-length special ever. In fact, it's so great that it actually does top Sildur's Legend of the Lost Treasure. It's got more characters, more songs, a well-written story, a lesson that doesn't get shoved down your throat, and it's entertaining for all ages.
You got a Thomas the Tank Engine special that will be remembered for many years to come. And seeing the Flying Scotsman in it is freaking awesome.
So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely put it on and see what you've missed out on. And that's the end of Thomascember for 2016. I want to thank you all for joining me in the look back at these video games, Series 19 and The Great Race. It's been so much fun to look through all these video games that I played, as well as Series 19 and The Great Race. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for joining me and hope you all have a Merry Christmas.